Hello, in this lesson we're going to be thinking about specificity and what that means, how that can add to your comedy. Now, specificity is about being specific. Something that is specific is clearly identified, clearly defined. It's something that we know exactly what it is. This does not mean giving lots of unnecessary information or using unnecessary words. Remember, we use the rule of three to create brevity. We're not going to use the rule of three to create brevity and then use specificity to really complicate things. This also allows us to give information concisely and easily. So, for example, something like, I'm really hungry, I could eat right now. So what? That doesn't tell me anything about that character. If we're being more specific, I'm really hungry. I need 5 chicken wings with peri-peri seasoning, a portion of fries, an ice cream sundae, and a bottle of cola. Gives us more information about that character. Yes, I'm using more words, but it's also being really specific and giving our audience something that's a bit like, that's too much information. It's not the kind of thing that you would say in normal, everyday life. Now, this also relates back to relatability. So something that is relatable to an audience is something that your audience can understand and something your audience can picture. By saying something specific, you are giving your audience the same mental image. If I say Tesla instead of car, is a really specific, relatable mental image that our entire audience can share. Whereas if I just say the word car, one person might be thinking of a BMW, someone else might be thinking of a truck, someone else might be thinking of a tiny little smart car. Whereas if I really say this is what it is, by just swapping out the noun for something more specific, then that gives our audience the same idea. Brand names are really, really useful to create specificity and to increase our relatability. So, Waitrose is a very different shop than Lidl. If something happens in Waitrose, that's a different story than if the same thing happened in Lidl. If you choose which supermarket your story takes place in, you're giving a specific and simple way in for your audience. Now, the way in is the thing that your audience understand what's going on. So if I say I went to the supermarket and I was amazed at the new display, doesn't give you as much information about that story as I went to Waitrose and was amazed by the new display. Same words, just swapping out that noun. They can also add to the joke. So, my best friend told me I needed to work out more. I said, it doesn't matter how many sit-ups I do if I get hit by a Volvo tomorrow. By using the brand name Volvo, which is a brand of car that is often associated with safety, I'm adding an extra element. I'm not saying I'm going to get hit by a car. I'm saying I'm going to get hit by the most safe car I could possibly get hit by. And even if your audience, some people in the audience don't know that Volvo are associated with safety, doesn't really matter. They still know that a Volvo is a car. So it adds an extra layer for people that understand, but it doesn't take anything away from people that don't. In summary, specificity creates relatability and brevity. It's about being really specific with the elements of your story, and that gives the audience more information. As a general rule, you never say biscuit, you say Garibaldi. Firstly, because Garibaldi is a really funny name for a biscuit, and secondly, because it gives that really clear mental image. So remember any of the stuff in this video. What is specificity? How do we use it? What's the purpose of it? If you've missed any of that in your notes, feel free to rewind me and figure out what I've said and make some notes down. I can't even speak. Take some notes down. Make sure to bring those notes with you for the next lesson. There is again a suggested reading article on Teams for you to check out. Bye bye.